Hi everyone, welcome to Meditation with Annemarie. This is part 9 of my 21-part series on coping with change using your inner power. So today I'm going to be drawing our 9th power for us to practice to help us stay on track. And all the powers are from my book, Will to Wonder, Principles on the Loss and Recovery of Power. And the book is based on our teachings as Brahma Kumaris. So remember to subscribe down below if you haven't done so already. And let's get on with drawing a power for us to be practicing over the next fortnight. So let's see which power I've drawn today for us to practice. Oh, another one of my favourite powers, power to tolerate. So I think we've pretty much covered all our 8 master powers, which are our main powers to strengthen all our other powers. So if we get our 8 master powers right, make that the foundation of our inner strength. So the power to tolerate is the ability to accept what I can and cannot change. So I don't put up with stuff or keep score because I understand I only have power over my own responses. I can't change how others think or how they behave, but I can accept their strengths and their weaknesses without giving or taking sorrow. I accept and appreciate the world as it is without controlling or conforming. I am the fruit tree. I keep giving fruit even to those who throw stones at me. So the supporting virtues, other strengths that can help me strengthen this power to tolerate is the virtues of love, humor, our sense of humor, acceptance, patience, flexibility, keeping a good balance between, so good judgment and remaining light. So another beautiful power for us to practice. So let's start with a meditation. So starting with a couple of gentle, even breaths. Allow your body to relax and your mind to become calm and quiet. You can choose to have your eyes open or closed, it doesn't matter. If you want to try it with the meditation with your eyes open, simply focus on a spot in front of you and gently rest your gaze there. It's a wonderful practice so that you can, with practice, turn inward anytime, anywhere that you need. But if you choose to close your eyes, that's perfectly fine as well. So just checking in with yourself now. And just briefly scanning over your body and becoming aware of any tension, any pain, any stress, any fear, any anger that you may be storing in your body. And I don't want you to judge yourself or to beat yourself up over it. All I want you to do is recognize it. Check those areas. And then breathe some love into those areas as a means to release that tension, that anger, that fear, whatever you're experiencing within your life. Just breathe it out. Don't question where it's come from. Don't waste time on analysing it to death. Just become aware of it. That's all. And then release it. And then I want you to go one step further if you can. I want you to start thinking about love. I want you to breathe in love. Breathe it into yourself. I want you to breathe out anger. I want you to inhale calmness. I want you to exhale fear. Each time just notice how your body and your mind become calmer, quieter. This is you slowly learning to control, take back the power of your mind, take the reins back in your own hands. But it takes practice. So remember to be gentle with yourself. This is the power to tolerate, to recognize our own strengths and our own weaknesses. Not to hang on to them, but to release them so that we can get on with our true, loving, peaceful nature. And each time you feel that your mind might be drifting away, just gently bring it back. Any thoughts or emotions that come to disturb your little bit of peace, again, just recognize it. Let them pass and let them go. Don't hang on to them, because they're merely there to try and distract you. So right now, know that they are helping you to practice being calm. So don't allow those disturbing thoughts or emotions to pull you off track completely by feeding them, by paying attention to them. You just want to recognize them as a means to release them. Each time bringing yourself back to the here and now. So breathing that peace. And breathe out any feelings of uncertainty, any feelings of anxiety. And remind yourself that I am not the roles that I play each day. That I am not my actions or reactions. That I am not this body made of matter. But that I am a being of love within this body. That I am the driver of this amazing physical vehicle. I am the one who creates my thoughts. I am the one who creates my story. So let me be powerful and peaceful and calm. creating the thoughts that are going to benefit me and that are going to benefit those around me. Let me not feed the weaknesses by focusing on the weaknesses within myself or within others. Instead, let me focus on and feed my inner strengths so I can help uplift those who haven't become aware yet of their own inner strengths. Be the shining light in your own life, so that with practice you can be the shining light for others and show them their path, allowing them to find their own journey, their own peace, their own inner quietness. So allow yourself to be in this space as often as you need. Simply unplug from the external world and turn inward. Just 1 minute at a time. And little bit by little bit you will start feeling that little bit of control back in your own hands. The reins are slowly being put back in your own hands. Feel that control over yourself, not over anyone else, just over your own responses. And simply be that peace, be that happiness, be that power in your own life. So taking a breath and bringing yourself back now. Taking those wonderful powers with you as a reminder. Om Shanti. So the power to tolerate. One of my favourite powers. I have many favourite powers, but this is definitely one of them. Because tolerance has nothing to do with putting up with stuff. If you hear yourself saying things or thinking about tolerance and think, yes, I'm really tolerant, I put up with a lot of stuff. No, that's not tolerance, that's just putting up with stuff. Tolerance, true tolerance means knowing and accepting what I can and cannot control. Knowing and accepting what I can and cannot change. So then learning to control what I can, and the only thing I can control is my own inner workings, is my own responses to what's going on around me. I cannot control what others do or say or think or believe. So when I let go of that control, of trying to control the world around me, and accept that we are all unique beings, and accept that everyone has their own story, without giving or taking sorrow. That's the key, to not give sorrow, but to certainly not take sorrow. That is the power to tolerate. So I need to have an enormous amount of self-respect to be able to stand in my power with that love, and to be able to say yes with a loving heart, and to be able to say no with a loving heart. Not to say yes or no out of compulsion, because I don't know how to say no if I'm a people pleaser. Not to rescue others. Certainly not to force others onto their spiritual path or onto their healing path or whatever it might be, but to show others another way. So I have to have such compassion for myself as a means to have that compassion for others. Because if you look around in the world, everyone is struggling in some way. And to tolerate even all the changes means I can somehow take a little bit of control of the reins of my own life. This is not to control anything or anyone else, but so that I, as an individual, can cope better and not become part of the problem by reacting like everyone else, but to remain calm and steady and think about my responses so that I can remain part of the solution and not allow myself to get pulled down and start behaving in disempowering ways. We all have the compulsion, if allowed, to manifest into this world. We all have the compulsion to not tolerate. The world has become a very intolerable place. So to truly understand tolerance, tolerance is not a weakness. As I said, it's not putting up with stuff. It's not keeping score. You know, when you think you've been tolerant and now you go, now I'm upset because I've been tolerant all this time. Now I have a right to be angry. That's not tolerance. That's keeping score. True tolerance is about really being so powerful within myself that I don't need to control what I can't, which is anything outside of myself. Let me just focus on what I can change within myself so that I can cope better with the ever-changing scenery called life that we so readily see today in the world, and people are being thrown out of their comfort zone suddenly. So let me keep practicing to remain tolerant and check my own weaknesses so that when I get triggered, I can work through them rather than allow that trigger to feed one of my weak compulsions, my reactive compulsions. Because the second I react to anything outside of myself, I've lost my power. I've handed my power straight over to the person or situation in front of me who's triggering whatever unhealed stuff is within me. And this is not to condone anyone else's bad behaviour. Sometimes other people's behaviour can maybe not so nice. But let me not buy into that, because if I buy into someone else's emotional rubbish, I will pay for it with my own health and well-being, and that comes at a cost. Because now I've paid for it, now I own it. So let me not buy into someone else's rubbish. Let me use my power to discern, my power to judge, my power to pack up, and my power to withdraw, to be able to tolerate with strength, not as a weakness. Because if I start putting up with stuff, then that's a weakness. That's not tolerance. Putting up with stuff and being tolerant are often thrown into the same basket, which is why often tolerance in this world is seen as a weakness. It's seen as, just pile it on top of me, yeah. But that's not tolerance, that's putting up with stuff. As I said earlier, tolerance is really about standing in my own self-respect. And that means I need to learn to love who I am inside out. I need to start showing that love for myself internally. And that means sometimes I can say yes, sometimes I can say no. But I need to do it with a loving heart, not wait till it becomes a problem. That's not tolerance. When I wait till it becomes a problem and then I need to say no with an angry heart, I've become part of the problem. And I have not been using my power to tolerate. In that case, my power to tolerate is quite weak. So the more I turn inward and strengthen my own inner world, reconnect with myself, really get to know myself and reconnect upwards, to recharge, to recenter, to reset myself. So then I can be more tolerant, powerfully tolerant with my external relationships. I won't get so upset if things don't go my way. I will be a lot more flexible in my life, and so not only will I be more economical in what I do, so I will make less mistakes, I will also be a lot more accommodating without taking sorrow. Again, there's a fine line with the power to accommodate, whether I cross over to become a doormat. That's not a strength, that's a weakness. The power to accommodate means giving from a full heart, which means I need to continually keep plugging inward and upward. Otherwise, I will give from an empty space, and at some point I'm going to want something back. Even a thank you, some kind of validation, some kind of approval to say I did good. That's not tolerance. Okay, that's feeding one of my weaknesses, and I'm needing some kind of validation. When I'm truly practicing tolerance, I'm going to have a calm heart because I'm accepting of the world, I'm accepting of my own strengths and weaknesses, and therefore I'm accepting of the world around me as it is. So that way I don't focus and get caught up on all the negatives, and regardless of what's going on in the world, I can still see the beauty and I can still see the benefit. That is tolerance. So then I can get on with what's right and not get caught up on all the things that I may have done wrong. Dadi Jenki, she was the head of the organisation, and she left her body in March this year. She was 104. And one of her sayings, I guess, is, which I love, and it's so accurate, is it's no good to sit in sorrow with what you've done wrong. You've got to let it go and get on with what is right. So often when we make a mistake, we can beat ourselves up. And when we're busy beating ourselves up, we're not being very tolerant. And when I'm beating myself up, I don't have the energy or the capacity at that point to try and get on with what's right. So I need to accept responsibility for that mistake, for that weakness, and aim to not do it again. So then I have to focus on firstly forgiving myself and then getting on with what's right. So then turn inward and tap into what are my other strengths that are going to help this weakness dissipate. So then all my other strengths will come to the fore, and that will be my protection. I think I've said it before in one of my other classes that the more I turn inward, the stronger my inward and upward connection, the stronger my outer protection is. But if I'm constantly out there, I'm not going to be able to tolerate, because I'm going to be judging from what we call a body conscious point of view. I'm going to forget at that point that we're all souls playing our roles through these magnificent costumes, and I start looking at the soul as that human being, as that role that they're playing. And if they're playing a yucky role that I'm not liking very much, I'm going to go into judgment as opposed to being tolerant. And personally, how I know when I'm not being tolerant is, one, I will get triggered, and I've got to turn inward and recognize that trigger within myself that it's something that this soul has come here to show me something that's unhealed in me. So that's how I recognize when I'm not applying my power to tolerate. And so for me now, I can turn inward quicker because I can recognize it quicker. It's a process. Our spiritual journey is a process. So we need to be gentle with ourselves, yet just firm, disciplined enough to make these continual but subtle changes. That becomes our strong foundation. Often we see these amazing ways to make some changes and we take these huge steps forward, but we haven't set a firm foundation by practicing our inner strength on a daily basis. So the second a storm comes, and we get hit by many storms in life, and our weaknesses can be big storms for us. So when these storms come, if I haven't been practicing exercising my inner strengths over a long period of time, I'm going to revert to one of my weaknesses instead. That's just life. So let me gently and quietly keep working in the background on my own strengths. So that way I don't need to blame anyone or anything, and I can free myself up by not creating these bondages with others, by blaming or judging or criticizing. But let me check myself. That's where the power is. And the more I allow myself to turn inward and work with myself, the less others will have a hold on me. And that's how I can be kind. You know, we often hear in the world, let's be kind to each other, but what does that really mean? It means to be peaceful in here. It means to be silent and quiet in here, not going 100 miles an hour. Kindness to the self so that I can be kind outwardly. That's the power to tolerate. So it's such a beautiful power. It takes a bit of practice, and often when people hear, when they even mention the word tolerance, more often than not you hear, I know, I've been so tolerant. And then when they understand what tolerance really means, it doesn't mean putting up with stuff. On one hand, you can see the confusion and you can see the panic, but once they start understanding that this is how they can reclaim a little bit of their power, it uplifts them because it gives them another tool to work with and to reclaim their own power. And that's how we can make a difference in the world, by not giving away our inner strength, our inner power, as a means to fit in, as a means to be liked, as a means to control. But just let me be as powerful as I can internally, so then I can accept the world as it is without me trying to force it to change, but allowing me to flow with that change. So I hope that makes sense for you. I hope that's given you a little bit of an insight on our amazing power. And let's finish off with another meditation. So once again, just starting with a couple of breaths. And just bring yourself to the present moment. And what I would like you to do now is to imagine or see or sense or feel. I want you to draw your energy from your body, starting at the bottom of your feet. I want you to just draw that energy upward, however that looks or feels like for you. I want you to draw it all the way up. way up through your body, up your legs, through your hips, all the way up your spine, through your abdomen and your chest, all the way up your neck, until you become just a tiny, tiny point of light in the middle of your forehead. Silent, peaceful, brilliant, light, just like a laser beam. And all I want you to do, you don't have to do anything other than see that light, that essence, that beaming laser beam shining outwards through your eyes, lighting up the world. And all I want you to do is just send out that love. Just send it out, not to any particular person or any particular thing. I want you to just send it out into the ether. No expectation. No looking for any kind of return. Just send out that love. Send out that light. And trust that someone, somewhere, is going to gain benefit from that light, from that love that you're sending out. You may, down the road, find out that someone happened to be feeling some energy, but mostly you probably won't know whether it's touched someone or not. That's the beauty of this exercise. We don't need to know. Just have the intention of healing the world through sending out that love and that light. Without being particular who or what you're sending it to, because that becomes attachment. When we're sending out that love and light, we want no attachment. We just want to send it out. Knowing that whatever you send out, you're going to get filled up with twice as much. So just send it out. When you're ready now, I want you to take a breath, knowing that you've been filled from above. I want you now to allow that energy to flow back into your body, from the middle of your forehead, back through all the way down past your jaw, all the way down through your neck and shoulders, all the way down your arms. Feel that energy flow all the way back down your spine, back down through your chest and your abdomen, through your hips and down your legs, and back out into your toes. You may even feel a little tingle, but if you don't, that's perfectly fine as well. And just coming back